Uh, Good afternoon, everybody. Let me first, read the statement prepared for me, then we will open the floor. I will begin my remarks in my national capacity. As many of you know, this is Kuwait's second membership in the Security Council. It comes 40 years since our first membership in 78-79. Much has changed in those 4 decades on the global stage. Yet we come back to the Council after those 4 decades with the same foreign policy and priorities, which we will carry out not only during our presidency for this month, but also throughout our 2-year membership in the Council. These priorities include, of course, the issue of our region, as we are the Arab representative and the closest to them geographically, including Palestine, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and Libya. In addition, those who do follow Kuwait's foreign policy know that preventive diplomacy, mediation, and peaceful resolution of disputes are core pillars of our foreign policy, and Kuwait has played a leading role in pushing for diplomatic solutions to regional issues and disputes over the past years and decades. This concept of mediation and preventive diplomacy is a priority of ours during our membership. Another priority is enhancing the working methods of the Council. This is especially relevant to Kuwait now because we are the chair of the informal working group on documentation and other procedural matters. For those who have followed, we have also been for a number of years the coordinator of the Arab group when it comes to Security Council reform. We want to work with our colleagues in the Council to see how to better enhance the working methods of the Council to make it more effective, efficient, and transparent as possible. And of course, humanitarian issues and paying attention to them is very important for us and is a priority during our membership in the Council. Kuwait has played a leading role over the years in galvanizing resources and support for Syria, and we hosted 3 pledging conferences and co-hosted 2. We are also the co-pin holder on the Syrian humanitarian file in the Council with Sweden. We have also co-hosted the Rohingya Refugees Pledging Conference last year held in Geneva. Therefore, the humanitarian dynamic of any conflict is one that is important for us to address in order to alleviate human suffering in these conflict zones. Having said that, let me briefly outline the presidency of Kuwait for the month of February. This is our second presidency of the Security Council in our history. Our last presidency was also in February, but 79, exactly 39 years ago. Together with the help of our colleagues in the Council, we will do our utmost to make progress on many of the items on the Council's agenda for this month and the coming months. As a President, I will outline the program of work that we just adopted in the consultation this morning. The breakdown of the program of work, I know that all of you have it in front of you. We will have 13 briefings, including one of our national signature event, open meeting. The national signature events will be a ministerial level and 2 briefings 13 briefings, including one of our national signature event and the ministerial level, and 2 briefings by committee chairs, the CTC and the 1718 committee regarding DPRK. There will be 12 consultations and 1 open debate on working methods of the Security Council. This will be in February 6. 3 scheduled adoptions and 2 informal interactive dialogues. 1 regarding UNAMI on the 7th of February on the strategic review. The other one will be on Burundi on 26th of February. 1 area formula meeting on Palestine. This will be in the morning of February 22nd. In brief, the 3 national signature events, the first one is the open debate on working methods, February 6th. The second will be the high-level ministerial briefing on purposes and principles of the Charter. The SG will brief the Council, and it will be presided Our foreign minister will preside over this meeting. The third one, the Area Formula meeting on Palestine. We are inviting the speaker, the keynote speaker will be the former President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, and Jan Egeland. I think you all know Jan Egeland. He was Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs. And Karen Abu Zaid, also a well-known. She was the head of UNRWA for a while. We have also on our agenda 4 country-specific meetings on the Middle East. Those regarding the first one, Syria. We will have 3 meetings actually on Syria, on the political and the humanitarian, and on the chemical weapons file. We will have also a meeting on Yemen. On Yemen will be February 27, at the end of the month, and this will be, as you all know, the last briefing by the special representative of the Secretary General, Ismail al-Sheikh. This is going to be his last briefing. On Palestine will be in February 20, and it will be a briefing and consultation. The briefing, as usual, the special coordinator of the Middle East, Nikolai Meladenov, will brief the council. But also President of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, will participate and speak on this meeting. Iraq also will be on the council's agenda. It will be on February 20, briefing and consultation. The special representative, Jan Kubish, will brief the council on that. There will be 2 meetings on terrorism. The first one will be in February 8th. Threats to international peace and security caused by terrorist acts. There will be a briefing and consultation with Under Secretary General Vladimir Voronkov. The second one will be in February 13th, and we will hear actually briefing from Ambassador Gustavo, Ambassador of Peru. He's the chair of CTC committee. The quarterly briefing also on UNMIC will be on February 7. We will hear a briefing from Zahir Tanin. There will be no consultation, just a briefing in the open formal meeting. One meeting on non-proliferation will be on February 26, and we will hear a briefing from Ambassador of Netherlands, Ambassador Carr, chair of the 17-18 Committee on DPRK. 3 meetings on African peacekeeping missions. The first one will be MONUSCA. The second will be UNIGOBIS, United Nations Integrated Office on Guinea-Bissau. And the third one is UNMISS. There will be 1 meeting and 1 resolution expected on African issues. This is going to be on Burundi. Burundi will be in our agenda on February 26. We will hear a briefing from the Special Envoy, Michael Kofando, and also the Eastern African Coordinator, the Facilitator, Benjamin Makaba. Sudan, we will adopt a resolution to extend the mandate of the panel of experts. This is actually briefly the program of work, and I will open the floor to take any questions.
Thank you, Ambassador. Welcome to the press briefing room, and congratulations on your presidency. On behalf of the UN Correspondents Association, it's good to see you, and we wish you well for the month of February. My name is Sherwin Bryce, South African Broadcasting, and I must tell you that I was in my mother's belly when Kuwait had its first presidency, so I'm very happy to be here in the flesh. In my mother's belly.
On your mother belly. Okay.
My question is about Palestine. Given the statements in Davos by the President of the United States that Jerusalem is off the table, and comments by President Mahmoud Abbas that they do not want the US to be the mediator, they called for an international mediation group. What's Kuwait's position on those 2 issues as it relates to the broader question?
We support the position of the Palestinians. Today, there was a meeting of the foreign ministers. They supported the position of Palestine in this meeting.
مبروك للرئاسة.
We congratulate you, and we value this Kuwaiti position when it comes to Arab issues, including the Palestinian issue.
I want everyone to hear it. The Security Council had started a new phenomenon to go visit the conflict area. They just visited Afghanistan, they visited South Sudan, CAR, Central African Republic, and many others. And I ask this question to every president of the Security Council. Would there be a president who will ask the other members of the Security Council to go visit Gaza to see the humanitarian disaster in the largest human prison on earth? Would you take that initiative to invite other members of the Security Council to go and visit Gaza? Thank you very much.
شكرا على سؤالك.
Thank you for your question. I believe in the past there was an attempt to call on the Security Council to go visit the occupied Palestinian territories. However, there is no consensus in the Security Council. There needs to be a consensus to carry out any visit. When it comes to this topic, I remember in the past there was no consensus. I don't know if it's still the case now.
Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks for this, and hopefully we'll see you at the stakeout giving summaries of closed-door consultations. I wanted to ask about Yemen. You'd mentioned that Ismail Sheikh Ahmed is leaving at the end of the month, and the name Martin Griffith has been floating around. If you won't confirm the name, what's the process? Do you think you'll have a new special representative in place? And does Kuwait believe that it should be, I don't know, somebody from the region, or is it okay to have the pen holder have the post? And the other one is a strange one. The Secretary General met with Omar al-Bashir, the president of Sudan, at the AU summit. And I wanted to know, although I know he's a free actor, given that it's on the agenda of the council, given that Bashir is indicted for genocide by the ICC, has he informed the council in any way, or do you expect the Secretary General to explain why this meeting was necessary or what benefit it is for the issues on your agenda? Thanks a lot.
شكرا.
Thank you. When it comes to your first question, of course, Ismail Wuld Sheikh announced himself that he wanted to step down from this position, and everyone knows that this will be his last briefing before the council. As for the one who will replace him, the name you mentioned, we haven't received anything from the Secretary General yet. As for us, whoever the Secretary General will appoint or will ask to appoint, we will work with them, of course. As for the second question on the meeting between the Secretary General and President al-Bashir, you can ask that question to the Secretary General. The Security Council has no information about these meetings.
James Bays of Al Jazeera. A follow-up question on the Middle East meeting and the presence of President Abbas. Very unusual step for him to come to a meeting like this. What do you hope it will achieve having him here in the council chamber? And have you heard whether Israel will be sending a high-level representative too?
شكرا.
Thank you for this question. I believe that the Security Council on the 20th will discuss the situation in the occupied territories, and we will listen to a briefing from Melodinov. And therefore, when President Abbas will come, this will be a good thing. It will be a good thing for the members of the Security Council to listen to the President himself. It will be beneficial for all. As for the second part of your question, what was... When it comes, we haven't received any information from Israel that they will be participating in that meeting. We haven't heard anything from them yet, but the presence of President Abbas has been confirmed and he will participate in that meeting.
Benny Avni of the New York Post. Again, following up on all those, two questions. Today, Wafa, the Palestinian news agency, reported that the Palestinians intend to ask the Security Council for protection and also to ask to reconsider its full membership of the UN. Did you receive any such request? Secondly, since Kuwait expelled all Palestinians in the aftermath of the first Iraq War? Have you repaired your relations with the Palestinians enough?
السؤال
I thank you for your questions. As for the first part of your question, we haven't received anything yet, any request from Palestine, any request when it comes to a draft resolution or their membership. As for the second part of your question, as for your question about the expulsion of Palestinians, I ask you to go back to UNRWA's report that stated that 250,000 Palestinians left Kuwait during the occupation. We haven't expelled anyone.
شكرا حضرة الرئيس.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do you fear angering the United States and Israel by accepting the visit of the Palestinian president to the Security Council? This is number one. Number two, along with other members of the Council, you have visited Washington and met with the US president. You were able to observe a number of parts of missiles that the US claims are of Iranian origin. Are you going to discuss this issue at the Council? And can you give us more information on the visit to Washington? Thank you.
طبعا
Regarding the first part of your question, we have already adopted the program of work, and we have informed the members of the Council that President Abbas will participate in the meeting. He is the president of the state, and he is directly concerned by the topic that will be discussed. I think that it is very good for Council members to meet with the president and to listen to him. No Council members rejected this proposal, and the program of work was adopted. Regarding our visit to Washington, we have seen the parts of the missile launched from the Houthis against Saudi Arabia. It seems that there is an attempt to propose a presidential statement on the matter. We don't know when will this happen. There are consultations on the issue outside the Council. We haven't received anything yet.
لا أعلم.
Do you think it will happen this month? I don't know.
مبروك سعادة السيد.
Congratulations, Your Excellency, and I wish you all success in your presidency. Regarding the Syrian issue and the chemical weapon issue, this issue has been pending in the Council. Council members have not been able to reach an agreement on a presidential statement on the humanitarian situation either. What are the recent developments in the Council regarding this issue, especially after the many failed attempts to reach an agreement on an outcome, a presidential statement or a resolution regarding the chemical weapons issue or the humanitarian issue? Do you feel that the Council is no longer concerned with the Syrian question? Thank you. Thanks for the question. Regarding the chemical weapons issue, differences remain between members of the Council on this matter. There is a draft resolution submitted by Russia and is being currently discussed by the experts. Regarding the humanitarian issue in Syria, we are a co-pen holder on the humanitarian situation. We have tried to issue a presidential statement, but we were not able to. We will continue our efforts, and we will attempt once again to reach a consensus on the humanitarian issue in Syria in order to support the efforts by the USG. The Undersecretary General has asked us to support his 5 priorities, and we will continue our efforts to reach an agreement and to adopt a presidential statement.
Ambassador, I'm Carol Landry with Agence France Presse. My question is on Myanmar. I understand that you're trying to organize a council visit. Can you tell us what the goal of that visit would be, and what has been the response of the authorities in Myanmar to your proposal? And just a technical question, will the area formula on Palestine be open to the press?
On Myanmar حاولنا بالفعل أن
On Myanmar, we have tried to organize a visit to Myanmar during our presidency. However, this visit will not happen in February. Other members in the Council might organize such a visit at a later stage, maybe in March or April. We have tried to organize this visit during the month, but we were not able to. Regarding the area formula meeting, we'll get back to you on this issue.
Thank you very much. طلال حاشفة من العربية عند الحدث. أولاً
Talal Hashfa from Arabiya. I congratulate you on assuming the presidency. My question regards the announcements by Nasser Hariri, the head of the High Negotiating Committee of the Syrian opposition in Turkey. During a press conference, he said that he's willing to cooperate with the constitutional process that started in Sochi, but he stressed the need for a transitional period in Syria led by the HNC with full executive powers. What is the position of Kuwait on this issue, on the possibility of a transitional period? I asked the same question to Mr. de Mistura last week, and he said that there were many difficulties facing such a proposal and it might not materialize. So what is the position of Kuwait on this issue? Another question regarding the ministerial meeting at the Security Council headed by the Foreign Minister of Kuwait.
شكرا طلال على سؤالك.
Thank you for the question. Regarding the statement by Nasser Hariri on the transitional period and the position of Kuwait, these issues, including the transitional period and the transitional body, have all been included in the Geneva Communiqué, which were endorsed by many resolutions, including Resolution 2254 or 2254. This is our position. We support the implementation of the relevant resolutions and the Geneva Communiqué. Only if Syrians decide among themselves to implement this resolution or to abandon the possibility of a transitional body. This is the formal position of Kuwait and of the Security Council. We believe that the Geneva negotiations and talks are based on Resolution 2254, which calls for a transitional body, and the Geneva Communiqué. Regarding the ministerial meeting at the Council, our Foreign Minister has issued invitations to members of the Council for the highest level of participation. The Secretary General will be the main briefer. And the former Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, might also brief us during this meeting. It has not been confirmed yet. It will be a briefing, not an open debate. And members of the Council will be able to take the floor.
شكرا سعادة السفير ومبروك على.
Thank you and congratulations on assuming the presidency. Majid Lee of Rodau Agency from Iraq. My question is about the international conference on the reconstruction of Iraq, which will be hosted by Kuwait this month. Can you give us more information on the conference? The level of participation, the countries participating in this international conference. Another question regarding Syria, especially the possibility of creating a committee by Mr. de Mistura to draft a new Syrian constitution. Do you believe that the Council will discuss this issue this month? And will there be any outcome? Thank you.
على سؤالك بالنسبة
Thank you for the question. Regarding the first part of the question about the International Conference on the Reconstruction of Iraq, we will host this conference from the 12th to the 14th of February. During the first day, we will meet with the private sector, civil society organizations, charitable organizations. And the third day will focus on the high-level meeting. Kuwait and Iraq have already sent the invitations. They are co-hosting the conference along with the United Nations, the European Union, and the World Bank. We expect the participation of 70 countries at the highest levels. We will coordinate with all co-presidents of the conference. The conference aims to reconstruct all areas liberated from ISIL. As for the question on Syria and the Constitution Drafting Committee, we have a meeting during this month, a briefing by Mr. de Mistura on the 14th of February. So far, we don't expect any outcome from the Council, but we will decide on it after the meeting with Mr. de Mistura.
Thank you, Ambassador. Michelle Nichols from Reuters. Just a quick follow-up. At the ARIA meeting, will President Abbas also attend that one? And just on Myanmar, why wasn't the Council able to travel to Myanmar? Did the government refuse the trip? I'm a little confused as to why the Council can't visit.
Okay. بالنسبة للمشاركة
Regarding the possibility of President Abbas' participation in the area formula meeting, he will be participating in the meeting on the 20th of February, the open meeting in the Council. He will not be participating in the area formula meeting. We could confirm that later, if he will participate in the area formula meeting or not. Regarding Myanmar, the authorities did not oppose such a visit, just to be clear. When we approached them, they did not reject it.
وما يعتقدون أن الوقت غير مناسب.
They just think that this is not the right time for the visit. They said that they are currently organizing a visit for the diplomatic corps in Myanmar to the Rakhine state. They also said that tensions are high in the Rakhine state at the moment. These were the reasons given to us by the Myanmar authorities.
They offer a new, an alternative date?
No, لا ما.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. All the best wishes for a very successful presidency. My name is Ahmed Fathi from American Television News. Let me take a little bit away from the Middle East and go to Afghanistan. The Council was on the ground with a field visit to the country, which was quite encouraging and quite new. And then there was introduced the nexus of development and peace building. The acts of violence and terrorism have continued, if not surged, during the past period. This month, there is no mention of Afghanistan. Is there any reason not to keep the focus on what's going on in this part of the world, since the total peaceful situation have not reached there yet? Thank you.
شكرا أحمد. طبعا.
Thank you, Ahmed. The Council's visit to Afghanistan happened thanks to the efforts by the delegation of Kazakhstan. It was a successful visit despite the difficult security circumstances. After the council visit, a number of attacks happened near the diplomatic section of Kabul, which claimed the lives of many people. All issues can be discussed during this month. We are only mentioning these in the program of work because there are reports that will be issued by the Secretary General on these specific items. However, if there are any developments, any issue can be discussed at the Council. Afghanistan is not at the moment mentioned in the program of work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. Edith Lederer from the Associated Press. You've said twice that the visit of President Abbas is important at this time. Could you tell us why you think it's so important that he comes at this time? And going back to your visit to Washington and your discussions with President Trump, did you come away believing that there is a need for the Security Council to take new action against Iran?
I still think it's important that Mahmoud Abbas visit, New York and speak to the council. لماذا لا وذكر
Why not? I mentioned at the outset that a meeting was held for the Arab countries' foreign ministers, and this testifies to the importance of this issue. I don't know if you've read the resolution that was adopted in that meeting, but there is movement. There is an Arab movement in order to push forward the peace process, in order to oppose the Israeli violations, and especially those pertaining to Jerusalem and the settlements. The Palestinian, he is a man with a cause, and he will come to the council and he will speak before the council.
Sorry, the second part.
It was from your visit to Washington, and whether you came away thinking there was a need for new action in the council against Iran.
ذكرت أنا في
As I've mentioned, several Security Council members feel there is a need to take some action based on the information and the evidence that is available. However, the timing of the matter, it may not happen in February. It might happen in March. And we don't know what form it would take. Will it be a draft resolution, a presidential statement? This will be decided over the next few weeks.
I was going to ask the same question. What was the, why not have it in February? You didn't expect the Americans to want a scheduled date to discuss Iran and as a follow-up to Yemen, and the Russians to oppose it? I'm sorry, I'm Evelyn Leopold.
But what I was really asking was what Kuwait's position was after going to look at these fragments of missiles. Were you convinced that Iran had supplied these missiles to the Houthis?
طبعا هذا احنا
We will conduct ourselves based on what is presented to us. Is it a draft resolution? Is it a draft statement? We condemn any violation of the arms embargo that is imposed on Yemen, which exists. So if we receive any confirmed information, be it confirmed by the US or the panel of experts, if we receive evidence that prove Iran's involvement, then we will support any decision or draft resolution to be proposed to condemn any violation of the arms embargo.
Thank you, Ambassador. It's Pamela Falk from CBS News. My question is about the two counter-terror meetings, and we look forward to the presidency. On the 13th, I see that Voronkov, the Undersecretary General, is speaking on the 8th, you said, but there's also a meeting on the 13th. And that is at the same time that there is a counter-terror coalition against Daesh in Kuwait, correct?
Yeah.
Is there some coordination? There was a recent trip by U.S. envoy Brett McGurk. Is there an idea of coordinating those two? And what do you hope in terms of improvements from on the foreign terrorist fighting and financing of foreign terrorist fighters?
طبعا احنا راح
We will view the report that will be submitted by Vladimir Voronkov to the Council on the 13th. In fact, there is no link between the two, but the efforts are numerous, and they all work towards combating the foreign terrorist fighters. We don't expect there to be a position adopted by the Council. It'll be a regular ordinary briefing that will be submitted based on paragraph 401 of Resolution 2368, which will be the framework for Voronkov's statement. But there is no link between the conference that will be hosted by Kuwait on the 12th of February, I beg your pardon, the 13th of February.
سعادة السفير جزيل الشكر.
Ibtisam Az, I would like to congratulate you on your assumption of the presidency of the Security Council, and we thank you for the briefing. I am from the newspaper Al-Arab Al-Jadid. I have two questions, one on Yemen, and will it be in addition to the briefing by Wuld Sheikh Ahmed, will there be another briefing on the humanitarian situation in Yemen? My second question pertains to Palestine and the humanitarian situation there, especially in the Gaza Strip, and will you ask there for an expanded briefing on the humanitarian situation there? Thank you. The President, with regards to your first question on Yemen, I think that the briefing will be a comprehensive one by Ismail Wuld Sheikh Ahmed. His briefings always include mention of the political and humanitarian situations and the latest developments in general. So the humanitarian situation will be part of that briefing and will be discussed in the Security Council at the day. As for the Gaza Strip, Mladenov always mentions the general situation in his briefings, and we do expect the same to happen on the 20th. The journalist reiterates the situation is tragic, and Mladenov and Wuld Sheikh Ahmed do not give detailed briefings. Even if they do mention the humanitarian situation, the question is, will you make additional focus on developments in the humanitarian situation, which is terrible in the least, be it in Yemen or Palestine? Will you request a briefing by, for example, the SG's envoy for relief works? We haven't done so far. The meeting on the 20th is a monthly meeting where Mladenov gives a regular briefing. But in the area formula meeting that will be held on the 22nd, we will focus on the humanitarian situation because the speakers, be they Karen Abu Zaid, who was the chief of UNRWA, or Jan Egeland, will focus on the situation in the occupied territories after 50 years of occupation. My colleague just informed me that former President Carter may not attend the area formula meeting, but we will keep you posted.
I'm George Baumgarten, correspondent for Africa Connect Online, as well as for Jewish newspapers in North America and the Astana Times in Kazakhstan. Congratulations on your presidency, and thank you for this briefing. I just wanted to verify, do I understand then that the area formula meeting is in the first part of the 22nd, and that is where Mr. Egeland will appear and Ms. Abu Zaid and possibly President Carter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, it's Rhonda Haubin, and I'm a blog columnist at TATS, the website of Die Tageszeitung. And I have a related question to that and then a different question. And the related question is that Michael Links is a rapporteur who made a presentation to the General Assembly about the issue of whether it is illegal to have to call Palestine the Israeli occupation of Palestine a legitimate occupation. And I'm wondering if the Security Council might look at that report that he issued and what the thought is about that report, because I thought that's pretty much a new development. And the second part of my question is, this month is the month of the Olympics in the southern part of Korea, and there's a activity going on between the north and southern parts of Korea. And on the 18th, under the Kazakhstan presidency, there was a number of the council members expressed happiness about that situation. I'm wondering if, given this is February, if there'll be any possibility on the part of the council to do anything to support and encourage the furtherance of that kind of spirit. Thank you.
شكرا.
I thank you for your questions. With regard to Michael Lenk,
report. لكن حسب علمي
I'm not aware of this report, but as far as I know, all of the international reports and the decisions that have been taken either in the Security Council or the GA classify Israel as the occupying power. So I don't know what the report that Michael Lenk, the special rapporteur, says. As for the Koreas,
agenda, except the briefing that we will receive from the chair of the committee, 17-18 committee. ولكن طبعا
but surely we welcome any dialogue that is being conducted between the two Koreas, and we welcome an improvement in the atmosphere. We know that this dialogue is limited to the PRK's participation in the Olympics, but we hope that it would expand to include all issues of contention between the two states. And if anything is submitted to the Council, then we welcome it.
Thank you, Ambassador. Margaret Bashir with Voice of America. Two follow-ups. It was mentioned today at the daily briefing that Kuwait is the only country that has given an additional contribution to UNRWA in the aftermath of the U.S. pulling their funding. Could you just tell us how much you've given and maybe a little more about that? And on the Iraq Reconstruction Conference, you said the invitations have gone out, but it's my understanding that the Kurdistan Regional Government has not received one. So can you tell us what the status of the Kurds will be at the meeting?
Okay. الجزء الأول UNRWA.
With regards to the first part of your question, the UNRWA, in December and January, we offered $7.9 million. Annually, we give to the core budget $2 million. This is our annual contribution. But in December, we submitted $5 million, and at the beginning of this month, $900,000. And we'll also give the $2 million in our annual contribution. So overall, $7.9 million have been paid in the past 2 months. And we thank the countries, especially the donor states, that have submitted assistance and have front-loaded their annual contributions in order to help the UNRWA in case it has any difficulties in offering basic services to the Palestinian refugee communities in the occupied territories. With regards to your second question on the Kurds, we're coordinating with the Iraqi government, and the conference that we are hosting is being coordinated with the Iraqi government, which is the co-chair of the conference, and the Kurds are part of the Iraqi government and part of the Iraqi state. So they're participating within the official delegation of Iraq. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Rashad Al-Khadr, Sphinx News. First, congratulations on your presidency of the Security Council as Kuwait for the second time. My question is on Yemen. There are widespread discussions on the consultations with regional and local actors on the conflict in Yemen, and this is done also with the visit of Boris Johnson to Muscat in a tour of Gulf country capitals, including Riyadh. And his meetings in Riyadh and Muscat were focused that a peaceful resolution in Yemen must include all political factions. And currently, negotiations are being conducted in Muscat. How successful or what are the odds of these negotiations succeeding in order to reconstruct Yemen and to achieve peace in it? Thank you. If I understood you correctly, I we believe that there is no military solution to the Yemeni conflict. Yes, there is a need for the resolution and the solution to be a political and peaceful one. As you know, we hosted the Yemeni talks in 2016 for over 3 months. We did that in Kuwait, and we support a political solution, and we are willing to host these negotiations once again in order to sign an agreement, a settlement agreement between them. So we do support negotiations between the different Yemeni factions under the auspices of the United Nations. And we stand fast by this position, even during our membership in the Council. We hope that the Secretary General Special Envoy would succeed in gathering the Yemenis together, be that in Muscat or Kuwait or any other place, so that we could launch the political process, or rather resume it.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Ben Ivansky, Fox News. I know you just mentioned that President Carter might no longer be coming, but what was the idea of having him come in the first place?
منو هذا تيلرسون كارتر الرئيس كارتر
President Carter, his positions when it comes to the settlements, for instance, the Israeli settlements, is known to all. These positions are known to all. He's very patient, and he has followed up on the Palestinian question for a long time. He has played a role in the Camp David agreement, and we believe that he does have a role to play. He can give his opinion, and that's why we decided to invite him.
نشكركم على
We thank you for joining us today. Thank you.